That's Shane Flanagan responding to the Save Our Saints campaign. It's a fan-led initiative which involves a 3-step plan pushing for changes at the club. Leading the Save Our Saints campaign is JC Bitter. He's a Dragons fan, a rugby league content creator. He describes himself as the NRL's most feared man, and he joins me now. JC, good afternoon.
How are we?
Good. Thanks so much for joining us. Look, I have to know first up, why are you the NRL's most feared man?
Well, my opinions and straightforwardness and truthfulness do strike a nerve in a couple of people, and they tried to silence me on a couple of occasions, but it only made me grow.
Good on you, JC. Agitate where you have to. Look,
Yes.
What do you want to see change at the Dragons as a result of this campaign?
Honestly, I'll be honest with everyone, and in the recent weeks, I've also been saying it. Shane isn't the main piece that we want gone. Like, he's just a front for everything that we want changed. We want the board changed. We want all these, like, everyone knows the Dragons are split into 2 separate boards which argue against each other and only operate in the best of their interests. So we're only getting like the 3rd or 4th best option because they have to compromise. And we want to move forward as one united club. No more individual people trying to benefit out of what the club is.
Okay, so what do you think changing the board would mean for the results of each individual game?
Look, in terms of changing individuals on the board, the only way that this would work is to get ex-St. George Illawarra Dragons players into the board where they only know the club as a joint venture. They don't know the club as Illawarra Steelers, or they don't know it as St. George. So they won't be operating as 2 separate entities. They would be operating in the future as a single venture to what's in the best interest for the club.
Okay, how will this campaign work? Take us through the 3 steps of this campaign, the Save Our Saints campaign.
So the Save Our Saints campaign obviously is already started with the hashtag Save Our Saints, and that's just to bring to light how many fans are genuinely fed up with the club's decision. And if you look at the most recent posts on like the Dragons pages and a couple of NRL pages, you'll see it's been flooded almost to the point where there's more comments than likes on some posts. And it shows that it's not 1 or 2 fans. Like, the coach thinks it's just me and Mitch or like a couple of like fans on the hill. No, like, it's the entire fan base is fed up. We're supposed to be a prestigious club that's meant to be making finals every year, if not every second year. And we just wanted to show everyone with the hashtag that it's not just 1 or 2 fans, it's the entire supporting group as a whole. And then the second step is to perform a peaceful protest. Like, I don't condone any violence. Never have I condoned any violence in any of my videos. Not once have I personally attacked anyone. And when I do find out players are getting attacked personally, I always stand up for them. And our peaceful protest, obviously there will be more details to come closer to the date if you stay in the channel, but it's going to be completely peaceful. There's going to be no derogatory terms, no racial, no threats, no nothing. It's going to be, honestly, it's just going to be all visuals. And then the 3rd step is just to really reiterate how fed up we are. Fans are going to be turning in their memberships, which they already have. Without me actually starting this campaign, I've gotten over 50 people messaging me saying, I didn't renew my membership. I've sent an email saying I want to turn in my membership, and they've gotten no response. So like, now we're going to do like a mass boycott if the first 2 steps don't work.
Okay. What's the most frustrating thing as a fan?
It's the simple fact that growing up, especially like I'm a bit older than the rest of the social media content space. Growing up, we always knew the Dragons to be some prestigious club. We always knew them to be this fearful club that no one wanted to verse, especially at Cogra or Wynn Stadium. There's a couple of players that will come out and say, like, it was a hostile environment to go play at. And then now, for the last 15 years, we've only made 3 finals games as a St. George Illawarra club, and we're not getting success. And every year we get promised better results and better results. But under Shane Flanagan, we started off very promising. And if you see, we were contending for the top 8 until the last 3 or 4 games where we fell apart. Everyone was happy with that. Like, we saw progression. And then last year, which was his 2nd year, we just avoided the wooden spoon. And this year we've started 0-6. We've lost 10 in a row. We've won 9 games out of our last 35 matches played. Like, it just keeps getting worse. So, like, everything that the club is promising us is not getting delivered.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Momentum. I'm your host, Big Lez, joined by former Dragons player Jake Marketo. Jake, it's been a massive week for you, brother. Talk to us a bit about the work you're doing with Run Nation and just everything that's happening behind the scenes there and what we can expect over the next couple of weeks.
Mate, Run Nation is the fastest growing sport on earth. It's been massive just to be a part of. Very grateful for Shandor Earl and Tremaine to allow me to be a part of it. I started about 6 weeks ago. The next 2 Saturdays get flown up to train the athletes up in Brisbane, and then May 9th, the RNC 3 event will be held in Logan. Tickets are almost sold out already. It's been pumped up there. You know, the athletes up there are ready to rumble. It's very exciting to be a part of it. I'm looking forward to being a part of the event and helping the guys through the night.
100%, brother. Just before we begin and get stuck into the news, just want to give our quick shout outs and get them out of the way straight away. On Track Meals. You can level up your nutrition game, especially if you're trying to cut down a little bit of weight and get ready for next year's summer. On Track Meals, 10% off with the code Momentum. And then also Breathe Ease as well. You're not wearing the Breathe Ease strip this week, Jakey. 2 under the pump, mate. But Breathe Ease, 10% off with the code Momentum as well. Obviously, leveling up your fitness game. You can chuck the nose strips on, the mouth tape for the sleeping as well. It is unreal. You can definitely get a lot of benefits from that. Shane Flanagan, look, I think we saw this coming, that this was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen this week. I thought they were going to wait to the bye, especially with a couple of the coaches that have been thrown up. I thought they were going to wait till the bye and have 14 days to consolidate as to who the next guy was going to be. What are your thoughts?
Mate, I heard the bye too. That was my mail, but obviously just too much pressure applied. I think in some cases there would have been playing managers applying pressure. The NRL would have been applying pressure in some instances to probably get what's been happening out of the way. 0-7's no way to start the year for any team. That's unfortunate. It's at the Dragons, which is a hard lesson for them, but I've got no doubt the only way is up. You know, they've cut Flanagan, Shane that is, and Ben Haren as well. So there's a start. There obviously needs to be some more dramatic changes above those fellas because they aren't just the only ones that are sort of put the club into a bit of a pickle. But as I said before, hopefully they can get the right people around them and the playing group can stick solid and together and begin to get some confidence and aim for that W. And no game better than to get that in the Anzac game.
100%. Look, it is obviously interesting that they haven't had an interim already locked in. It sounds like they're going to consolidate tomorrow and figure that out. So that by the time the podcast comes out tomorrow afternoon, you guys will know who the coach is going to be. It does sound like that coach is going to be Dean Young at this stage, which is interesting. I know that there's also been chat around Dean Young and maybe not a lot of the got people in the club and Dragons fans being on board with that decision. He has been an interim at the club before, so he has that experience coaching a couple of games there. What are your thoughts on Dean Young coming in? Would you rather maybe a Mick Ennis instead? What are your thoughts?
Me personally, Dean Young. I read literally 10 minutes ago that the club couldn't come to an agreement to have Dean Young as the interim coach, which I found extremely strange. I thought they would for sure get a bloke in there as one competition's represented in State of Origin and the single game for Australia as a Dragon, put his body and mind through, a decade and a bit of rugby league for that jersey. He's obviously done it before. He's had some great experiences over the past couple of years, also being assistant coach of Tonga and New South Wales. No one's saying that he has to be the full-time coach and sign an extended deal moving forward, but I would definitely see him taking the reins and steering the ship for the remainder of this year for sure.
Well, the mail that I've got at the moment, Jakey, and I'm not sure if yours is the same, but I heard that even before Shane had been hired at the club, half the board wanted Dean Young in straight away and half the board wanted Shane. They went on with Shane, and now that Shane's been sacked, the board that wanted Dean Young are advocating for him to come in, and the other side of the board are saying, well, no, we don't actually want Dean Young, and there's a little bit of a to and fro there, which I think goes back to what you said before, which is there do need to be changes up above and how that whole situation is being run at the moment. I think the comments made today in the press conference about the fact that it's the media, like they were sort of trying to blame the media a little bit more. and the negative press towards the club and how it's run, and particularly between Shane and Kyle Flanagan. There's obviously been a lot of coverage about those boys, and they basically tried to blame the media for what's been happening and the results, which I think is a bit of a cop-out. I think you can't really go ahead and blame those guys. At the end of the day, it's the playing group that, obviously determine the results and how they play, but it's the coaching staff and the board and all those guys as well. You can't really blame any external factors for results on the football field too much, particularly when there's been issues in the higher-ups for the past couple of years. Are you a similar sort of sentiment?
Well, we're one club, right? There was things coming out this week. It should be called the Dragons, not St. George Illawarra Dragons. At the end of the day, mate, we are the St. George Illawarra Dragons, right? If they are able to provide an environment of winning and growth, the players will react to that. At this moment in time, what is being displayed on the footy field is something that is lacking confidence and togetherness. So if you can take a look at it and zoom out, yeah, we can sit there and say the players, but at the end of the day too, mate, we've got to make sure the players feel like they're St. George Illawarra Dragons. They're the ones that go out and get their bodies punished, their minds punished, right? They've just come out of a 12-week preseason into 0-7. They're hurting more than anyone physically, right? Then we have people that are, making these decisions, but we can always be looking at ourselves as a whole. Now, I truly hope the club comes to a resolution and some, more logical thought processes come into play, because at the moment we're looking down the barrel of 0-8 into a bye. The season's gone technically. Like, that's the thing we need to start thinking about as a club and as a region, is that we're down the bottom. And what are we going to do now, and the processes now to get ourselves out of it? Because we have a massive fan base. They've had enough. I've been seeing some of the stuff on social media. People are ready to give their memberships back. Like, that's big. That's you losing money now. That's you losing people buying your jerseys. So, like, it's actually getting to a point where it's going to start affecting business. What they do with this, I'm not sure, but I would hope some logical processes be put into place and we begin to get ourselves out of it, and the boys get those W's, as I stated before.
Obviously, there's a lot of chat about who's going to be next up post this year. I know that they have thrown Mick Hennis's hat in the ring as a bit of a smoke if he does get the interim role, and then maybe re-signing him further. One that I've heard this afternoon, and I really like it, is Ben Hornby to come in. And I would even look at that if they would try to get Ben Hornby a little bit earlier, even though he hasn't been in the environment for the full year, and it could be a bit left field considering, it's pretty strange to get someone else in for the rest of this year. But if they were going to try and get Ben Hornby in for the rest of this season as well, and then maybe Ben Teo goes to South, that opens the door for that. That could make a bit of sense. That sort of scenario, like Souths get their replacement and then the Dragons get their man. Is that a scenario you could see potentially playing out too?
You can, but at the end of the day, mate, Ben Hornby's got to want to go there too. The thing is, I don't think people are fully understanding, right? At the moment, what coach would want to go? I don't see anyone reluctantly, wanting, they're very reluctant to go to the club at the moment. Like, it's a shambles. Obviously, the coach that's coming in, he hasn't got his roster, so he doesn't really have a say over what's going on, depending on who's there this year and the remainder, next year and the year after. Ben Hornby would be an excellent fit. Him and Dean Young, I've said this for 2-3 years now. People tend to go, we need to go external. You don't. You need to make sure everybody's on the same page. You allow the coaches to coach and choose what they want, who comes in, who's playing. You need to give full control to the coaches, because at the end of the day, the wins and losses go with them as well as the players. And then everybody else stays away and does what they need to do all the way over there. Now, everyone goes, oh, Wayne had great success. Yeah, because Wayne had control of the football program. Wayne brought in who he wanted. He made it very clear. I'm going to do this, and you make sure over there is fine. Then you get 2 minor premierships and a premiership out of it. So, it's not just the external, it's the coaches allowed to be coaches and bring in who they want, right? The one that sort of come to my head that would grab a room with attention straight away, and it's an external person, if we're not just talking about internal, Sam Burgess. You want to talk about grabbing a player's attention, stand him in front of 30 blokes. I guarantee you no one talks.
Yeah, I don't mind Sam. it could be a little bit of a door opener, maybe if it is a more of a temporary thing for him to go back to South to over the next couple of years. But if you're looking for a guy that is going to grab a room, I do think that Sam could be a nice little option as a gateway for him to get back into the NRL. I actually threw up Des Hasler on the Saints podcast the other day. He's obviously not coaching at the moment. I sort of thought about it a bit more, and, if there's a guy like Brad Arthur that's available, or if you can get a Ben Hornby, maybe that's a better decision. But, I don't mind the Des shout if you're looking to set standards and, you're looking for a guy that can grab a room, a guy that doesn't give a fuck, basically. Des, he's very honest about what he wants and the standards he wants to lay and how he wants to play his footy. That could potentially be a guy. Is Des someone that you wouldn't mind seeing there?
Yeah, well, Des brings players too. You got to understand, we want to bring coaches that players want to go and play for. I don't know if Des Hasler's past his prime. Maybe he is an option, but I just feel if you are going to go external, you got to go with someone that's going to grab the ears straight away. Listen, this is what we're doing, boys, and follow my lead. I think also just something out of left field here, not just talking about coaches. I think Shane Richardson would be an absolute masterclass play from the Dragons to get him involved in your club. I think Shane Richardson is some guy that has the ability to change, rocks to diamonds. The latest thing, this wasn't just all Richo. Obviously, Benji Marshall's done a great thing at the Tigers, but before Richo left, he had constructed a team. He had, cut away some dead wood. It just sounds like some person that you would really want in your club when you're sitting at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, well, look, I threw him up on the podcast today too when I was reacting to this news, and I think that Richo would be great. I think he's the only guy that's available right now that you could bring into that role that stands out and would do the best job. Look what he did at the Tigers. A lot of people have mixed feelings about how that whole situation went, but he was cleared of any wrongdoing. He brought Luai, Taruva, Kai Pearce-Paul, the Fainu brothers. The Fainu brothers, you got to remember, they were literally Manly's succession plans. They were going to be the next guys up. They brought both of those guys over. Samuel Fainu was playing in the front row before he came to the Tigers. He's now one of the game's better informed back rowers as well. He can do some incredible things with the football. Benji Marshall, even as head coach, we were sort of doubtful at the start, and it wasn't really working at the start. It was a big call. He only just retired. Now they're doing great things, and I think you definitely got to throw some of that kudos to a guy like Shane Richardson. So, I think he'd probably be the standout for me for that GM role. There's not too many other guys that come to mind. Just the last one on this, mate, because I know that we got to fly through the rest of this. Team list Tuesday. What changes are you making?
I think they will name the same, but I think there will be changes. I'm going to have to go back against what I've stated probably previously the last 2, 3, 4 weeks because we are at a dire strait as a club. And I think if you want to start looking forward, you've got to start planning forward. And I'd be top-loading these young blokes into the team now. Finals is out of contention, in my opinion. If you can get them in there and get 10 to 15 games of hardened first grade under their belts, I think it's going to bring a lot of benefit for next year. I think I'd be starting Big Loco up front and letting him get a taste of it. Sua's obviously out now. I'd get Halangahu on that right edge, get him to have a real good feel of it. Luciano Leilua has been outstanding. Cook's obviously going to be playing 80 minutes moving forward at 9 unless they have someone else that I'm unaware of that can come in and play 14 and have that 9 role. And I think the blokes that are there that have been there for a while, like your Blake Lawries, Josh Kerr's been there for a while. This is his second stint. I'm loving what the Couchmans are doing. Big Moses Sully. I just think we got to find ourselves. And I think there'll be some changes. And I wouldn't go past putting Reid at 7. I've gone back on what I've said. I understand he's a young man. I understand he's, in my opinion, he's there mentally, skill-wise, competitive-wise. He's an NRL player. I just worry about his physicality. But at the end of the day, we've been put into a corner, and maybe he can possibly lead us out because at the moment, what we have been doing doesn't seem to be working.
They've won all the new games of New South Wales Cup bar the Bears a couple of weeks ago, and then they only had a tight loss to South as well. They're still top of the table there. I would have brought Cade Reid in a couple of weeks ago, but I think you have to now. I think that you'd maybe move Kyle Flanagan into that 14 role and take some minutes off Cook at 9, and then move Cook into 13 for a little stage there, which worked so well last year. That's probably the way that I'd go. I agree with the Hullengar, who you get Ryan Couchman back to this week, which will be massive. I think that Toby will start. I'd even start. I think Blake Laurie hasn't been too bad. I think out of the older guys in the pack, he's been pretty good. So I'd probably start B-Law and have him there with Couchman, and then get Big Loco off the bench, because he had such a massive... You got to remember, you got to look back. We'll talk about the Dragons game in a second, but he had such an impact when he came on that just before half-time. So I'd bring him off the bench. I'd bring Ryan Couchman off the bench. And there's a young guy in Cup as well, Ryan Hutchison. I'd potentially be giving him a jersey as well. Plays lock. He's been really good the last couple of weeks. Hame Saleh played 80 minutes at front row in New South Wales Cup and had 200 metres. He's another guy I'd be bringing back up. There's plenty of guys there, mate. So just, as I said, backing the young guys, or as you said, backing the young guys, I think he's going to have to be the plan moving forward. Finals out of contention now. You've just got to back the young guys in and get some wins on the board. You need to turn some things around. Let's move on, mate. Obviously, some injuries this weekend. We had Payne Haas go down with an MCL injury. It looks like he's out for Origin 1, which is massive. Who is your other starter? Let's assume that Adam Fanua-Blake is the starter for the Blues, at least in one of those prop jerseys. Who starts for you with Adam?
Mate, who goes in there? The bloke from Melbourne, do you reckon he's... Would you give him the jersey again?
No, Stefano's done for me.
Is Barnett playing?
Yeah, Barnett's there.
You know what? You'd almost go forward, wouldn't you?
I have forward there at the moment.
Yeah. Like, if you're going off form, another thing that, you would almost go forward. If he's still healthy, why not?
I'd have forward ahead.
What about May?
Terrell May?
Tigers. Big body, have Ford come off the bench.
Can I throw you a shout that's super left field? Let's just say that Terrell May, I'd maybe say off the bench. I'm gonna throw you a take that is gonna be so left field. Alex Twall.
Mate, he wouldn't look out of place. Great second phase play, work rate's outstanding. He does too. He's the linchpin of the Tigers. He does a lot of 1% of plays that not many people notice except the team. Like, you can see the boys, mate. Anytime he does something, they're up in Yahoo, and he sounds like it just looks like he's their spiritual leader there. So Twall, it is left field, don't get me wrong, but thinking about it in my footy mind, he'd fit straight in.
And his defence as well. I think his defence, he's probably one of the safer defensive players out of a lot of those selections. And then look, I'd say Keon would be there. I'm just worried about the knee injury. That's something that I'm a little bit worried about there, just because he's mobile and he has that Origin experience. He's played a couple games of State of Origin. A lot of these guys in your forwards, your Mays, Twalls, these sort of guys haven't played Origin yet. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd say forward at the moment.
Having the big fella Haas out, it just opens up opportunities for other people, and they have been playing really well. Like when I think about it now too, like you'd almost go for Fanua-Blake and Terrell May, in my opinion, and then you've got Ford and Twall off the bench possibly. Like, they're two young blokes that have maybe earned their spot. Warriors are flying, Tigers are flying, You want people in your team that are in form, and those two guys are pretty much knocking on the door.
Do you reckon that Spencer Leniu misses out this year?
He has the potential to.
Because they've got so many forwards. Like, even with Payne Haas out, we've just named about 4 or 5 guys.
It's how they want to play, mate. It's going to come down to how they want to play. Like, we all know what Leniu can do, man, and he gets in their faces. It depends how you want to play. If you want to be overly aggressive, you'd almost go Leniu, but if you want to get out there and try and beat him with speed, leg speed, getting a quick play the ball, and second phase is invaluable in Origin. You got Ford, who's got an offload. Adam Fanua-Blake's known for it. Twall. Tyrell May, he's got that great. Have you seen what he's been doing? He's been hitting the line with his shoulder and spinning and popping through and coming out the other side. So they've got a wider range of front rowers to fill Haas's spot for game 1.
I mean, they could even just start Isaiah Yeo there too.
It's endless.
Yeah,
some of the
endless. Look, I think it's definitely worth the conversation. For the Broncos, it's massive because they've lost him. I think Walsh is still a week or so away. They've got Corey Jensen, he had something like a blood clot that went up to his lung, I think, so he's in hospital at the moment. Yeah, they've got Jordan Ricky's battling through that ankle injury. Tony Staggs, there's a plantar fascia injury. Jesse Arthurs is out as well with the ankle injury. So they are really coming up against it, the Broncos. It'll be keen to sort of go through the tips and see if we still have them this week.
No, not to harp on it too, but it sounds like that'd be pre-season.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too hard. Speaking of big losses, mate, Tom Trbojevic.
Oh, I feel so sorry for that poor bastard. Mate, what a player. And just was flying too, having such a great start to the year. I do, though, while we're on the Eagles, the Eagles went on with the game. Like, how much confidence are they playing with themselves at the moment as individuals? Like, year before, Tommy goes off, they're not finding points. And they put 38 on the Cowboys up there. That's big, man.
It is. It's really, really good. We'll get into the games because I want to talk about, obviously, the fullback jersey and what they do moving forward. I think it seems pretty obvious, but at the same time, I have a little bit of a take for you. We'll talk about it in a second.
Excellent.
Manly Seagulls, 38 defeat the Cowboys, 6. Talking on Manly, mate, the man that moved into fullback, Tolu Kula, was outstanding.
Mate, he's next level, eh? What a talent. Who goes to the centre for them, mate?
They got the young Clayton Falalo, who's a good player.
He went in there too, didn't he? He actually didn't look too bad.
Yeah, defended well. He's a fullback usually too, and he came in and did some good things. This is the take that I have for you, though.
Yeah.
Lehigh was their long-term fullback after Tom Trbojevic.
Yes.
That was the whole spiel, right? They were giving him cracks in the jersey. They were trying to blood him through. He was playing very well at fullback. Tolu Kula right now is probably your best fullback at the club other than Tom Trbojevic. But Lehigh at his best there isn't too far off, in my opinion, just with his skill and how tough he is. It really depends on what you want to do long-term. Because I think from now on, Tom Trbojevic is a centre.
Well, for longevity for Tom, he's going to have to go to the centres.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, but I think Tom can bring benefit to any team in any position that he plays in the back line. I did find it strange Lehigh didn't automatically go to fullback, but in saying that, he did score 2 tries on the wing, and Lehigh looks good anyway. It just depends how they want to play. Like, I think Kohler, he has a little bit more speed than Lehigh, but I think Lehigh is actually more damaging in running the ball. I think he's and you can see he's just his length and how he moves. It's going to be difficult how they do it, but I think Kohler can deliver. But they haven't got a bad backup in Hopewadi if anything happens.
Yeah, I think. Look, as I said, the best fullback at the club, that's not Tom Trbojevic right now, is Tolu Kula.
Yep.
I'm just worried that if you do put Tolu there at fullback, he kills it. He's your long-term fullback, and they have him going forward. By the time you get to the contract negotiations for Lehigh, if he's promised that fullback jersey or, whatever they've sort of said to him behind the scenes, he's had cracks there and he's sort of tried to transition him into that role prior to Tolu killing it there. Does Lehigh potentially go, look, I was pretty much guaranteed that fullback jersey. You've given it to Tolu now. I'm stuck on the wing. Do I go somewhere else, get about 600 and play some fullback?
Well, I'll tell you what, mate, at the moment, Kieran Forrest's steering the ship there and everyone's buying into it. So, if they're winning and Lehigh wants to leave, not too many players want to leave a winning culture, mate. It's difficult, to leave places that you feel very comfortable in. And it's not like he's in and out of the team. Like, to be in the starting team for Manly while they're flying is a very cool thing to be a part of. I want to jump on too. Brooks and Fogarty look like they've gone to a new level with foreign head coach.
Well, you know what?
They are oozing confidence.
You know what the thing with Brooks is for me? He's just running.
He's just great running. Ball runner. Ball runner.
Yeah, this is the thing with Brooks. I don't want him game managing a lot, and I feel like under Seibold, he did sort of game manage a little bit more, and he was focused on the more structured part of things with Fogarty, and it didn't really work. He's really just let go. He's just running the football, and things are coming off the back of that. He's setting up tries down that left edge, which looks almost as dangerous as their right edge at the moment, let's be honest. Fogarty's 2 try assists in this game, 80 run meters. He's running the ball himself a little bit, but they're just playing how they want to play.
Yeah, they're going really well.
Yeah, they're going really, really well. Great job on the weekend. And to be fair, like, it actually wasn't their best performance. They weren't outstanding. The Cowboys completed 42% at halftime, and they finished the game at 58% completions.
Yeah, that's got to be the reason why. Because mate, the Cowboys had a really good, strong team out on there, out on the field, and they just sort of got that statistic you just named there in the completion rates. You can't beat in games like that, especially with the Seagulls.
This team beat Melbourne, and they've just lost to the Manly Seagulls 38-6 and completed at 58%. Like, I don't understand what changes. Is it mentality? Do you reckon Scott Drinkwater, I've heard throughout the week that they've said to him that he won't be extended past this year and he's free to go? Because I think they're going to put Jackson Purdue at fullback long term.
Yep.
Do you reckon maybe Drinkwater's sort of gone, oh, fuck, like, I'm not really wanted here anymore, and he's sort of dropped off a little bit mentally?
Mate, not in this day and age as professionals. And I don't think, mate, if you're a player and you kick stains in round 6, even when your team's flying and you're in form, and all of a sudden you think, I'm going to put the Q in the rug. It doesn't work like that. And I think Drinkwater's a highly sought-after player and a professional. I think he'll be turning up, and the Cowboys will be putting their best foot forward next week. And I don't think that he's technically put the Q in the rack in regards to the Cowboys, because if he doesn't want to go, he's still there next year. And he's on good money. Like, they don't want to have a big investment playing Queensland Cup. Do you know what I mean? So it's gonna this is what I was alluding to before with maybe playing managers applying pressure to have Flanagan leave, because it came out during the week. Drinkwater wants to know what the roster is, who the coach is, who the halves are, all that sort of stuff before he makes a decision on leaving. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens over the next 2-3 weeks, because I'd imagine he'd want to sign a contract if he is due to leave somewhere else, closer to where he is now rather than later down the track.
I actually did get a message. It'll be interesting to see if it comes off. I just got a message before saying it is going to be Dean Young as the interim. So that's been locked in.
Well, they need to make a decision, mate. You can't not have. Yeah. I read too the same thing. They said they were going to call training off tomorrow. Like, you can't do that. That's not fair to the players. They're actually going into Anzac Day game. They don't need to be worrying about who the coach is. You need to make a decision that's best for the club.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you feel towards it, it's about winning games of footy. Get Dino in there and let him prepare.
Yeah, 100%. Raiders Storm 26-22 is the scoreline in this one. Storm 0-5. We called it. We tipped the Raiders and it came off. But I tell you what, even after tipping the Raiders, I felt so off about it, because I was like, this is the game the Melbourne Storm will bounce back. And they just didn't look in it at stages. It was tough. Like, it was probably out of the past, I'd say, in these 5 losses, this was probably their second best performance, I'd say.
Yeah.
Out of the 5 games that they've lost, but they were still dejected at stages. Suafailonga looked like he was playing injured at the back end of the game. But just the errors. It's just the errors for me that's like so uncharacteristic to Melbourne. And I think we also now need to start looking at Melbourne as an 0-5 side and not a Melbourne Storm side.
Yep, I agree with you. The beautiful thing about Melbourne is they're out of New South Wales and Queensland, so they're not under the pump as much. 0-5 for Melbourne Storm is unheard of. If that was in Sydney, it'd be catastrophic if it was the Sydney Storm. Canberra come out of a cannon. And I thought to myself, oh, geez, I've tipped well here. This is good. I'll get one this week at least. Then all of a sudden, the Storm went 3 tries. And I thought, they'll kick on. They're going to kick on here. Then straight after half-time, the Raiders had the momentum back again, and then it was an arm wrestle for a bit, and then the Storm did get that late try. But the Raiders too good at home, and, I'm not a betting man, but I wish I put a bit of money on that now.
We probably should have. We probably both should have.
Who would have thought Melbourne lose 5 in a row?
I put 3 bets on the weekend. I was 0-3.
So as soon as money's involved, we're gone.
That's it. Look, Raiders were outstanding. I thought that, as you said, they came out of the gates really well. I thought that Tarpanay played well. Hudson Young was good again. I thought that Ata Mariotta got a chance to start in this game. and did very well. Like their forward pack, I thought was very switched on, and it was probably Ethan Stranger's best game on that right-hand side. Would you agree?
I agree, mate. That try when he cut across the field, dummy went through and offloaded. I thought that was a great piece of play, and it looks like he looked a bit freer on the weekend. It was good.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to as well that the Melbourne Storm edge defence, which has been a little bit of an issue. I think that's obviously given Ethan Strange a bit of that room, and I think he'll take a lot of confidence out of this one too. Ethan Strange being on that right side, he's had a game now where he's been free, and he's had a lot of success down that way. And with Sasungi outside him, and Noah Martin's still a very good player, had a good game off the bench as well. He'll get some confidence out of this one. But, yeah, look, for Melbourne, it's tough. It's really, really tough. I'm not too sure how they're going to get out of this, to be fair. It doesn't look like it's going to be a quick fix. We say the same thing every week, but our mate Cooper Clark, looks good. He still looks good. In all of the games that they've lost, him being in there in that right back row, I always look at him and go, there is something there. If they can start to win games, he's going to look 100 times better as well.
He's NRL Rookie of the Year for me right now, just with the attitude he's come into first grade with in the Melbourne Storm team that's struggling at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what Bellamy does, because he did a couple of weeks ago threaten players' jerseys. Now, he may have to live up to that this week.
Well, I think Sua's injured anyway.
Who? Yeah, so they're actually going to have to make changes.
I think Sua is injured. Yeah, I think Sua is injured anyway. I think that you'll see him drop out of the team list going into this week. He picked up a little syndesmosis injury. I've had that before. It is an absolute nightmare of an injury. I'm not sure if you've had one as well, Jakey, but they are terrible. Yeah, they're terrible. So I think he'll miss out on a couple of weeks. I think that young Mania, he's been playing in the centres and on the wing. He came to the club and played fullback for the most part in Cup, so I think that he'll jump straight into fullback. Also, Munster, when he was asked at the start of the year who the standout players were, he threw up Mania's name straight away. So I think that he's a guy that's going to impress a lot of people. He was very good in that Canberra Raiders system. He played 5'8" for the majority of their games. Really, really good player. Anyone else that you'd sort of question?
Mate, I want to apply a little bit of the blowtorch on the Melbourne halves. Now, both international players, right? But we do take the blowtorch to every other half pairing I feel in the NRL when they aren't winning. Brisbane's the perfect example. Adam Reynolds gets hammered from pillar to post from certain people in the media when he's not going well or he's injured. Melbourne are 0-5. Now, this doesn't take anything away from these guys as individual players. They're both international halves for their respective countries. But do you think they're in a slump at the moment? Because 0-5, these guys can usually string something together. I watched Harry Grant play also on the weekend. They're just the timing off these three guys or these guys not communicating enough maybe, or everything's just looks like it's a bit out of whack at the moment.
Well, they don't get a lot of momentum in their sets, mate. And I think you said this last week too. When you don't get a lot of momentum through the middle, the halves can't do a lot. They haven't been. Their forwards haven't been great. Like I think.
Well, yeah, I'll take that into consideration. But Munster's one of those guys can cut a game open by himself. He's done it at Origin level, like the hardest game is. I'm finding it. I just want to see what these guys, like not saying like prove anything to me because they're the best players in the world, but at the moment, 0-5, you're looking to those guys to get you out of the shit.
Yeah, and this is the thing as well. Other than Wishart, their next half is in Jersey Flegg. Like they've got no one else. So it's not like we can say, guys, be careful because we've got this young guy that's killing it in New South Wales Cup. They've got no one.
Yeah, well, I don't see those two getting dropped anyway. I'm just implying that.
Yeah, 100%. There definitely needs to be a bit of pressure or something on them for sure. And but I just don't think they've got guys to put pressure on them. Whereas, other clubs have got, guys that are coming through in Cup and you can obviously throw it at them that way. Look, let's get stuck into the next game. We've got the Panthers getting the job done over the Dolphins, but not as dominantly as what we thought. 23-22 the final scoreline. The Dolphins showed up in this one. They played some good footy. The second half, they did exactly what the Bulldogs did in the first half, I thought. which is the fast start and head to your edges. And I do look. This is the one thing I'll say for Penrith, mate, and I want to get your thoughts. The only thing I'm taking away from Penrith in this game is that now teams are identifying that left edge for them defensively is a little bit of a weakness. And if we're throwing up Casey McLean for Origin, this is going to be the litmus test.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because even, last week we spoke about Talangi, and it looked like at times the Dolphins were trying to get the ball there. It was a game of two halves. Like Penrith were winning 18-0 at halftime. I was going to myself, this could end up 40-0 here. Like they're just going to put an absolute clinic on. And credit to the Dolphins. Herbie has been absolutely out. He's probably the form center in the competition now that Crichton's out and he can't be playing weekly. He's got him out of the shit a couple of times with the way that he sort of gets the ball, skips across field. He has that offload. And, they got themselves back into the game, the Dolphins, but it was just too little too late. And, obviously the king of Penrith at the moment, the last decade, that field goal, he's just too good.
Well, Katoa only won the game for them. He had a really beautiful strike from about 40 metres out and he just missed it to the left post. So they nearly won that game. Sorry, the Dolphins went to Golden Point. Very impressive. I thought that their forwards were good. That Kula Kefu-Finafiliaki for me, with Dave Fafita out for the next couple of weeks, I'd argue that he's making his Origin debut on that right side for Queensland.
Yes. Well, who did you say David Fafita's out?
Yeah, Fafita's going to be out with a hamstring.
Oh, for Queensland. Sorry, you confused me then. I'm going, he plays for the Rabbits.
Yeah.
Mate, well, they it's open, isn't it? If Fafita is out, there'll be a lot of guys putting their hands up. Would you almost throw Thomas Gilbert in that edge back row? He was playing there before he obviously had that horrific run of injuries the past 24 months.
He's a front row for me. Yeah, I think he's a middle for me. With how good he's been in the middle, I'd throw him in the middle off the bench, and that would scare me more than him in the back row. I'd love him more in the middle. But that Finefuyaki, 21 runs, 247 run meters, 129 post-contact meters from the edge back row is just nasty. So I think he'll definitely be a guy I'd expect with Billy Slater and the calls that he makes and bringing young guys in. I think he's pretty much straight in there.
Half his meters with post-contact meters. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How good's that? Just before we go to the next one too, Milky just delivers again, doesn't he?
Yeah, Milky was good.
Mate, he's like Carl Malone. He's a postman. He always delivers his bloke.
Yeah, look, he was outstanding. I'm not too sure what the record's now. I've lost count. But he's killing it.
He's setting it
killing it. Yeah, that's it. Warriors and Titans. The scoreline doesn't tell you how this game went. It was an absolute clinic from the Warriors. They dominated them for about 65 minutes.
I was just about to say that the scoreboard doesn't reflect the actual game and how dominant the Warriors were. Credit to the Titans, but they only played 15 minutes of rugby league. Like that last back end, they got some pretty cool tries in. I want to back up what you said because I watched this game and I watched this player with intent. Jojo Fafita, you were right. I feel he's put himself in Origin contention.
Yeah, he's a good player. Super silky with the way that he moves. He was easily probably one of their best, despite the stats. He was just silky again and defends really well.
Mate, yeah, I watched him. He scored a great try. I think he's definitely got himself in the framework. And the bloke who's never played a bad game in his life, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck again. Like, I just could watch this bloke play rugby league all day. I might even start watching the Super League because of him when he goes over there.
Yeah, you and me both, mate. You and me both. Our boy, Chanel Aristevita, some big hits again in this one. He's been silky. Like, the stats don't tell you the full story with him. He has been outstanding, and I just don't think you can take him out of this side, even if Metcalf is ready over the next couple of weeks.
I feel really sorry for Metcalf because that injury's halted his progress. And it just looks like the Warriors, without him in the team at the moment due to injury, look more fluent when Chanel and Tanner are at 6 and 7. I think Metcalf needs to find his way into the team somewhere. How they use him, I do not know. As I said before, I would have possibly bled him back in off the bench just to get his legs under him, and he did end up getting a soft tissue injury from it. Maybe he has to take the route through New South Wales Cup and just get some meters and some minutes into his legs for a couple of rounds until he can, wait for an injury or play his way back into this Warriors team that's just firing at the moment.
I've got a bit of a roughie for you.
Go.
I think the halves are taken. I think you can't throw him back in the halves. He played a bit of footy at the Sharks at fullback.
Okay.
That fullback jersey's been to and fro the last couple of weeks. Chance has been in there. Tane to a pick, he's been in there. Tane obviously got taken out for this game and Chance is back in there. If he plays well enough, and as you said, I'd be bringing him back through Cup and just seeing how he goes and seeing if he's got the runs in his legs to play at fullback. But that's something I'd seriously consider.
And two, who we just spoke about, Tuivasa-Sheck's there. He can slot straight into that fullback, no worries at all. He's been Daily M Player of the Year, Daily M Fullback of the Year a couple of times as well. So they've got the luxury of having these kinds of players in their back lines.
Yep, 100%. Look, for the Gold Coast Titans, as you said, mate, 20 minutes of footy. Unfortunately, our man Jojo was good. I still think that this halves pairing of Jaden Campbell and Ilias can work out, and I'll tell you what, I do want to give one shout out. Our boy Jalen de Groot had to come in the centres in this one. I thought he looked solid and defended well despite being out of position there. I think that he was definitely a guy to be taking a bit of confidence out of.
Yeah, well, it gives him an opportunity to build into next week as well, to get those kinds of minutes under your belt, play the Warriors over there. I think you'll get a lot of confidence out of it. I do think what you said there is correct, and I stated last week, Campbell and Ilias, I think they need to remain 6 and 7 as long as they're healthy for the Titans to remain competitive. And I thought Philip Sami was unreal in the centres for him. He just looks like he's got a new lease on rugby league at the moment. He's been a great purchase for the Dragons if he can keep this form up and build even more through this year into next year and have a solid pre-season.
Yep, 100%. Mate, Rabbitohs and Dragons, we've talked about the Dragons enough, I feel. I don't think we can go too deeply into this one for the Dragons. The only thing I would say is Valentine Holmes. It's been a tough couple of weeks, and I do think that with a couple of young guys in Cup, I think he's under a bit of pressure to keep his spot.
I would agree with that. Just after, Latrell Mitchell was in a mood, obviously, but it's been a compounded, last 3 or 4 games for Val Holmes. He's an out-and-out first grader, but there has to be some sort of pressure applied in certain cases into the team. It'll be interesting to see what the makeup of the team is this week, and what they do. But yeah, there's got to be a little bit of chopping and changing. I thought Cook was the best player on the field for the Dragons on the weekend. I thought he that try that he scored, even though it was an offload off Toby Couchman, who I think's been great all year. Cook will round the clock back. He wound the clock back. He took off, left foot step, beat the fullback, and he needs to be carrying that team in the ruck for the next little bit because, geez, they need him.
Well, I did say this to one of my mates who's a Dragons fan after the game. The formula was there for them to win. It was get good ruck speed, Toby Couchman offload, and then Cook to create absolute havoc through the middle. They score through Damien Cook. Cook set up that Hamish Stewart try. That was the formula for them to win this game. Don't know what happened in the second half, but they went away from that so much. They had a couple of penalties compounding in a row, and unfortunately, that's where they lost the game. They just fell off in that in the last 20 minutes or so. Would you tend to agree?
Yeah, the Rabbitohs played really well, mate. Like Matt Dafty at the back, they didn't lose anything with him there. Latrell Mitchell, what I think the Rabbitohs have done, and for me watching it, they're getting the ball to him at the perfect stage of the set. And if you've noticed, Latrell injects himself when he needs to, and everyone's going, "Oh, he only plays when he wants to." Mate, that's because that's all he needs to do. He's parked on that side of the field. Mate, 60 to 65% of the time he's got the ball this year, he's either scored or given it to the wing to the score. Johnson, he's perfectly injected himself, and they're using him perfectly at the moment, in my opinion. And he looks like he's just building nicely into Origin time. Because, he was. Did you watch the way he used his body on the weekend on Val Holmes, on Daniel Atkinson? It was like a 16-year-old playing 10-year-olds, like in the backyard, like the older brother just picking on people. He was, mate, moving really well.
Yeah, moved really well. Had some nice passes too on that left-hand side and created a couple of opportunities as well. Definitely a shoe-in for Origin for me. I think his spot's locked in. I think it's the right centre that's going to be the one that's going to be heavily discussed. But Latrell was outstanding. What I will say, mate, I'm sure you would have noticed, but to start the game, Bronson Garlick goes to 9, Brandon Smith to 13, and Cam Murray was on the left edge. I thought that worked really well, and I'm a big hater of Cam Murray on the edge, but I thought that Brandon Smith didn't give anything away. 2 try assists, 90 metres. He was great.
Brandon Smith's ruck speed was unbelievable. I'm very, very similar to you, mate. I don't see Murray as an edge back rower, but he did his job, and he actually created a lot of ruck speed on that edge for them. So I don't know if that's something they're going to tinker with moving forward, but Brandon Smith, the role that he got given, he was 10 out of 10. I just thought he was immaculate at starting their sets off when he did get back on side for that second and third carry. His leg speed through the line, finding his front. He did get a little bit of an ankle injury there or a foot injury, due to going through the line and someone landing on the back of it. And I don't mind Garlic at 9. He's a bit of a bigger body too. He's a bit taller than Brendan Smith, and obviously Smith's a better 13 than him. So it looks like they're tinkering with a couple of changes. But, it'll be interesting seeing what they do moving forward, because I am a fan of Murray in the middle, but he was really good on the edge.
Last thing, mate. This has been a little bit of a regurgitated opinion at the moment out there, but I would not be shocked to see Tallis Duncan in the Blue squad.
Great player. Squad, 100%. 100% would be a great experience for him, I feel. And he's earned it.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, probably the game of the round, the Broncos and the Tigers. The Broncos, super resilient performance in this one. They obviously got the job done in Golden Point. I thought that it was Renault's best game this season, just in regards to his kicking game. And he didn't look fresh, but he looked better.
Yeah, mate, they're a different team when he plays. It just looks like they're all so calm and collected when he's out on the field with them. I thought Xavier Willison was outstanding for him as well. Really good player. One thing I do want to say, I said this to you about, I wanted to give this young fellow a rap, Bukowski. Now, I watched him come on the field because they said he was a young 20-year-old coming on at 9. If you go back and watch the game, crisp passing, ran the ball when he was supposed to, put his body in front even though he got bumped off a couple of times and held on for dear life. Besides Willison making that line break in the offload where he probably was a little too overexcited and like, oh my God, I'm just about to be in open space in my debut and drop the ball. Besides that, mate, I found him to have a perfect debut, and as well as the Broncos winning, which would have added to his feeling for his debut. Because the way he passed, if any young hooker out there, go look at what he did, mate. He was firing him off the deck. Every single pass was crisp because you know why? He had the pressure of Adam Reynolds there. Healthy pressure, that is. Getting him the ball. He didn't want to let the blokes down, and I thought he had a great debut. So well done, young fella.
I think that I wouldn't be shocked to see him at 14 next week too for them with a couple of more injuries in this side. I think that we wouldn't be too against having him there at 14 just to cover at 9. Josh Rogers, you'd imagine, will drop out. I think Corey Pakes is back. So I think it'd be Pakes and him at 14. I think that'd be perfect for them.
Who goes to fullback for the Broncos, mate? Because Arthurs is out.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Walsh will be back early. I think they're going to rush him back. He posted I'm not sure if you saw it, but he posted a story to his Instagram. And
with the headgear on.
Yeah. I took it as he's just mucking, taking the piss because he just cut his foot as well. He's coming back from that. I just have a little sneaking feeling that maybe he wasn't fully joking. I don't think they have a lot of choices. I mean, Dean Mariner.
They've got Hayes Perham there. I think he's a fullback, isn't he?
Yeah, Hayes Perham. That was his first game on the weekend since 2022, I think, with the Bulldogs. Yep. Played well when he came on the field. I think that he'd definitely be the obvious choice. Yep. As I said, I think Reece Walsh could be a shot. I also think Dean Mariner wouldn't look out of place at fullback either, just with how creative he can be and how fast 100%. He is. It could be pretty similar to like a Tolu Cooler at fullback there for the Broncos, just with his speed. Yeah,
very elusive. And what about Ben Tolte off the bench? He is doing massive things for that team. What a great impact player. He's played himself into some really good form and is holding down that interchange spot for himself and bringing a ton of energy when he's asked to do his role.
He'll start next week for sure.
Yeah,
I think he'll start next week. They've obviously got Jensen and Haas both out. I think Carrigan...
Him and Willison will start, you reckon?
Yeah, him and Willison will start. I think Carrigan's back, so Carrigan will be at 13. I think that's the way that they're going to go, and I tell you what, it's not going to look out of place at all. Tolte has been outstanding since coming to the Broncos. Like, this is a New South Wales Cup guy that, Madge gave an opportunity to, and he's taken it with both hands and done a really, really good job. Stags, I thought he was good. against Taylor May. I thought his defence and some of his big plays there defensively, and so too Ezra Mam. I thought both of those guys won the game for the Broncos at stages. That intercept from Mam late when they had that shift, that was a key moment for me. And for that, I think, and you talked about the Melbourne Storm halves, mate, I think Mam is putting some serious pressure on Munster for that Maroons 6 jersey. What do you reckon?
It's going to be interesting because I do agree with you. I think Ezra Mam's timing is run perfectly. I can't see Cameron Munster getting dropped, but geez, there's a lot of pressure coming on it. Healthy pressure, that is. Again, I want to add, it's not a bad thing. It's very good for Queensland because Ezra Mam's a great player. Cameron Munster's obviously Cameron Munster, so it'll be interesting to see what happens because Billy Slater's he's known for making big calls. Can
I throw something at you as well? I just feel like with the way that Melbourne Storm are going at the moment, and this probably won't happen, but I could see it potentially happening. Is there a world where Munster and Grant go, we're in a really tough spot. Let's just focus on the Melbourne Storm, get some wins on the board, and we'll let some of the younger guys come in and maybe a Reid Marnie or whoever they've got next for hooker or 5'8" for they may stand down from Origin selection this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. Anything is possible in the wonderful world of rugby league, but I just can't see an Origin series without Cameron Munster involved if he's healthy.
Yeah, neither can I. Just thought I'd throw it out there. Look, last game, Eels and the Bulldogs. I did not expect this. And I tell you what, again, similar to the Warriors game, the scoreline is not a reflection of how dominant the Parramatta Eels were.
But, mate, they were outstanding. It was the Parramatta's best game of the year. It was the 1986/Old Boys reunion on the weekend as well, so that would have added to the meaning of the game. Parramatta and Bulldogs have a rivalry that's been, relevant since rugby league started. I thought Addo Carr was outstanding. He brought a ton of energy, and I don't think people understand what he actually did when he scored that try in the corner. He had 4.5 meters of room to work with. Is it how do you pronounce his name? Marcelo
Montoya, yep.
Marcelo Montoya. Mate, he's a great player, really strong defender. And Josh Addo-Carr just put some great footwork on him, hit him with the fender in the chest, found the ground and put the ball down for that 4-pointer in the corner. It was outstanding. And I thought that breathed a ton of energy and life into the Parramatta Eels after that.
Tell you what, you're talking about Addo Carr. I thought it was Brian Kelly's best game of NRL. He was phenomenal out the back there on the wing. 174 run meters, 20 runs, 61 post contact, try assist, 2 tackle busts, 2 offloads. He was just phenomenal in my opinion. It was probably one of his best games. I feel like moving him to the wing just took a world of pressure off his shoulders. In the centres, obviously, he's very prone to errors. He just looked so much more comfortable on that wing.
Yeah, it's funny. I always seen Brian Kelly as an out-and-out centre, but he did look very comfortable there. And obviously, when you haven't really solidified or made the jersey yours at a new club, you sort of tend to play your best wherever you get put. So he may stay on the wing for a little bit now because obviously there is a couple outside backs that are out for a little bit of time. Volkman as well, I want to throw your way. Volkman I thought was outstanding. He did a great little individual run that set up, a try for himself. The footwork he showed to get in between 2 defenders and then just step the fullback silly. I thought that was a great little try for himself.
If they keep winning football games, I don't know if Pezzett comes back.
Oh, really?
Nah.
Mate, and I read, sorry, just to jump in, I read too something about the Broncos having a half up there did you see this? There's a half up there that they want, or he's is it Duffy? Was it possibly Duffy? Someone come out during the week talking about they're going for the 7 jersey next year or something like that. I can't remember the guy's name.
It would have been Tom Duffy because he killed it the other week.
Yeah, okay, there we go. So mate, there's no free jerseys in the NRL, is there? It's and you are right. If Parramatta are going on that winning going on a winning streak, it's sort of like Metcalf from the Warriors, isn't it?
Yeah, I just don't know if you can put him back in. It'll be interesting. Volkman was outstanding in this game, and it's the best that Volkman and Moses have looked. It's the best that Moses has looked all season. He look good?
You are right. I think Well, they're both traditional sevens, aren't they, Peasant and Moses? And I think Volkman getting his opportunity at 6, who appears to be an out-and-out 5'8", just allows Mitchell Moses to play his natural game. Mitch looked very composed on the weekend after he got hammered a little bit in the media in regards to talking to the referees, and he was off a little bit during that game because it looked like he was trying to, win a little game with the referee, which obviously you can never do. But him playing on the weekend was a large reason why Parramatta went so well, and the way Volkman was able to balance him out.
And last thing on Parramatta, Walker coming off the bench, it just makes so much difference. Like, started the last couple of weeks, they've missed that impact of him coming off the bench with that leg speed. As soon as they make a change there, even though DeBellin didn't have his best performance, I thought that when Dylan Walker got onto the field, he definitely added a lot for them in that 13 role.
He does, mate. He adds a ton. Dylan Walker, he's just in the game the whole time, and something that's a real strength of his, I feel this year, is he's actually carrying the ball a lot more compared to other seasons. He's just not there to ball play or drop people under anymore. He's actually starting to show the ball a little bit or just take those tough carries. So looks like he's added another level to his running game.
100%. Look for the Bulldogs. Obviously a poor game from them for the most part. What I will say is I don't think you can take away from how good Parramatta were and how much they were in this contest as well.
Yep.
I just think you can't really win a game with a front rower in the centres too. They had Josh Curran there at right centre, and Addo Carr scored a try. They had a couple of opportunities down that left-hand side. Dylan Walker even scored a try there, and he's predominantly in the middle. So they took full advantage of the fact that they had a front rower in the centres there, and unfortunately the Dogs just couldn't hold them back.
Yeah, it's smart footy by Parramatta to take advantage of a situation like that. I thought the other centre, Bronson Cherry, was outstanding for the Bulldogs. That first, the try that he got off, was it off a scrum or off a shift? He skipped out. It looked like he was going to get tackled and just flicked it out the back door. He ended up scoring a try himself as well. I think he's taken what sort of experience he went through 2 or 3 weeks ago at the club, and he sort of had a look at himself, taken it on the chin, knocked it up a gear, and he's been massive for the Bulldogs the last fortnight.
Yep, totally. I think what I will say, Galvin, when he's having a rough game, and a lot of halves do this, they generally resort to their running game. And sometimes with Galvin, it can really fire him up. He'll take a couple of runs, and then he'll start to really come into the game. 8 runs, 72 metres in this one. I just feel like when the game got tough, this is the first time where I've seen Galvin sort of step back a little bit. Burton, for me, was definitely more the dominant half and was getting a lot more of the ball than Galvin was. It's the first time I've seen Galvin sort of take a step back, and I wouldn't say go missing, but he definitely came out of the game a little bit.
Yeah, I thought Galvin has taken that role what Burton did on the weekend, probably the last 2-3 weeks though, in regards to running the ball more. I think I've seen the stat before the game. I think he's averaging 146 run meters per game so far this year. I'm villain to it as well. We expect so much from Galvin because of how much he's been pumped up as a junior rugby league player. Obviously, the situation last year changing clubs. Sorry, I'm tending to just sort of wanting to step back and allow him sort of find his feet. Like he's only played 20-25 games of first grade with immense pressure on him. I think I do back up what you say. I do think he maybe did be a bit overwrought to what was happening, but I think it's going to be a better thing for him in the long run, those sorts of games where he can sort of maybe take a step back and look at the information that's in front of him, and then next time it happens you go, I've done this before, I've got to stay in the game here.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get into the tips for round 8, mate. We're going to go through this very, very quickly thanks to our friends at BearBet. We've got the West Tigers and the Canberra Raiders at Leichhardt. What are you thinking for this one?
Tigers at the 8th wonder of the world, my friend. Leichhardt over, what a place.
Yep, I'm going to go Tigers as well. Cowboys and the Sharkies. It is at Cowboys home.
Cowboys.
Sharks. I think the Sharks will get them off the bye. I think they'll be fresh. Broncos and Bulldogs.
I'll tell you what, I'm tipping in the blind here because if Reece Walsh plays, that's a massive in. They're up in Brisbane. I'm going to go the Bronx against the Bulldogs.
I think Bulldogs will bounce back. I think I'll go Bulldogs just because I'm not too sure about Walshy. If Walshy is in, that's going to be massive for them, and they are currently the betting favourites at $1.71.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the Bulldogs, though.
Okay.
Saturday, you got the Dragons and the Roosters.
My heart's with the Dragons, but I think the Roosters will win, mate.
Yep, Chookies. Warriors and Dolphins.
Warriors.
Give me the Dolphins.
Oh, listen, go, Roddy. Good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dolphins. I just think they get a bit of confidence from, even though it was a loss. I think they'll take heaps of confidence. Storm and South.
Shit. The Storm, they can't lose 6 in a row. I'm going the Storm down in Melbourne to get an upset against the Rabbitohs.
Nah, I'm going Bunnies.
Of course you are.
I think this is the first time we've had pretty separate tips in a couple of weeks too, by the way.
Yeah. Well, last week we pretty much tipped the same bar one game, I think it was.
Yeah, it was that last one.
Yeah.
Knights and Panthers.
Panthers.
Yep, Panthers. And then Manly and Eels.
Fuck. I'm going to go the Eagles, mate. I'm going to go the Eagles.
Yeah, Manly at 4 Pines. Give me the Manly Seagulls. There you go, guys. That was thanks to Bear Bet. Make sure if you're going to have a punt, you go and do it there, but also do it responsibly. That's another week of momentum. Also, breathe these on-track meals, codes, 10% off momentum. Jakey, I know that you've got to get going, mate, so we'll catch you later next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.